All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today for the Bridge Over Troubled Waters discussion. I'm your host, Kristen Lampert. I am a senior consultant here at TalentRise and work with companies across the nation to help either elevate or enhance performance through talent. I'm joined here today to welcome MJ Tatum as Senior Talent Advisor from TerumoBCT. And she and I are going to have an intimate discussion with about, 60 of you guys to talk about what she's been doing at Terumo and ways in which all of us can start to adjust to virtual onboarding. So she's going to share some best practices. Before we do, I do want to make sure that we've got all of our housekeeping items covered. So for those who are joining, please make sure that you are muted. We're going to spend the first about 20 minutes really going through a dialogue, and then we're going to open to Q&A. For those of you who have questions, the best thing to do is put your question in the group chat. That will make sure we kind of get your hand up there. Welcome to everybody, and you're welcome to introduce yourself through the chat to everyone who's joining in. After the session, we will be sharing.
So everybody heard that. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. And please mute your lines if you're able to. Thank you. And we are ready to, you're seeing the presenter view sides. Thank you so much. That's great. You don't need to see those. You need to see us. Okay, thank you. I appreciate the feedback. So I'm going to move these here. And I'm going to, wait one moment. I'm going to swap displays so everyone sees what we're seeing. Okay, great, fantastic. All right, thank you, everybody. So love the feedback. Thank you, Teddy, for sharing that. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So I'm here with MJ Tatum. So MJ has about 10 years of talent acquisition experience, 8 years really at TerumoBCT. She's been actively dedicated to the practice of HR over the last decade, and she's worked with many organizations like State Farm Insurance, Swift, Woodward Governor, and the Laramar Group. She's originally from Missouri, the Show Me state, and Show Me is what she does best. She is a lover of the performing arts, and a success motivator that you can follow at Make Room with MJ on Instagram. She works really hard to inspire others on their authentic journey, both in their careers and in life. And so I am so pleased to welcome MJ here to the group. We are going to share a little bit about TerumoBCT. For those who don't know, Terumo is a global leader in the blood component and cellular technologies space. They are a medical manufacturing company with and one of the largest employers with 2,500 employees out of Lakewood, Colorado. They serve customers in 130 countries with 7,000 associates globally. And they are operating 7 plants across the globe. So with that, I want to go ahead and get started. Welcome you, MJ, to the group, and love to start our conversation a little bit with just digging in more on the TerumoBCT culture and
Sure.
a little more what's happening for you in the COVID world.
Sure. So first of all, thank you for having me. I feel truly honored, so I appreciate that. And first and foremost, I just wish that all of you and your loved ones and your family is remaining safe and healthy during this hard time right now. So as far as our culture, I would have to say, first of all, as you mentioned, TerumoBCT is a medical device manufacturing company. So our devices collects, separate, and process various components of bloods and cells. So our devices is used in a wide variety of medical procedures. So with that said, I would have to say we're a company that hums. And what I mean when I say a company that hums is that the employees, our associates, they thoroughly, truly love what they do. And so if you have happy associates, that means they're going to be productive and they're going to produce quality work. So I would have to say we're truly collaborative and passionate about what we do at Terumo. A company too that truly lives by its values, I would have to say, which is respect, integrity, caring, creativity, and quality of excellence. We truly live by that because we feel what we do, our work that we do truly matters. So
Yeah.
I think that's our culture, really.
Yeah. And so talking about a humming culture, what has been humming or maybe not so much humming when it comes to adjusting to the changing dynamics and landscape for COVID?
Yeah, so as you know, TerumoBCT is considered an essential service. So our Lakewood production area is still open, you know, it's still going. So as of recently, we just partnered with Mark Therapeutics. So our medical device is helping with filtering blood for patients that are immune compromised. And then also one of our devices is helping with collecting plasma to help with antibodies. So our business is saving lives and caring for our patients. So not only that, I mean, that same philosophy flows over to our employees as well. So during this crisis, I mean, our priority is to make sure that our associates are physically healthy and emotionally healthy, I would have to say. So we've made a lot of accommodations. As far as the production side, you know, it's 3 shifts that they work. So we made accommodation to stagger those shifts so it's less contact. And then we've also like limited the entryway. So one way in, one way out, limited bathroom access. We've limited the cafeteria area. So it's, you know, just making those adjustments, and then also like limited where they go smock up, limited amount of people there, definitely social distancing within the production area. And then after each shift, there's extra sanitation cleaning.
Yeah.
And then what we've also done, I would have to say, we're also giving extra pay for the employees being dedicated and still wanting to come to work in this situation. And then we've waived the short-term disability waiting period. So if associate gets the virus, they don't have to use up their PTO before the waiting period is over. They're able to have access to that short-term disability right away. Yeah. And so believe it or not, through all of this, we're still hiring, actually. We're still hiring right now for assemblers, and we decided to utilize a specific agency to hire temp assemblers to work for us because we've had an increase in our orders. A particular device, I would have to say, maybe we would have 30 for the whole year for that order. Well, we just got 60 for just that month for the hospitals. So our production is definitely increasing. And then also we're still hiring for IT, software engineers, and then the manufacturing engineers, you know, your process, validation, sterilization, quality type engineers. So.
Got it. So it sounds like, one, I love what you're offering when it comes to how you're connecting your values as far as caring for your clients and the service you have. It's a medical device company, but bringing that home to how you care for your employees, both by just protecting them on the floor and also making sure that you've got, you know, proper resources and care for them. So
yes,
you're talking a little bit about the hiring side. So I don't think we're hearing as many of those stories in the marketplace right now where there's a higher boom and there's a greater demand. Right. And with that comes, you know, challenges in onboarding talent. So our conversation is more around, you know, the virtual onboarding side and how you guys have had to shift your onboarding strategy for those who are virtual, maybe not necessarily in the plant. So I'd love to hear what your biggest challenges were when you had to make that shift, because I know that wasn't the way you've always onboarded.
Right. So I think as far as challenges, I don't know, one would be because the main group that I support are engineers. So they're very technical. So when we told them that we were going to start doing virtual interviews, they were just like, oh, well, what tools? Is there a manual I can read? You know, and we're like, yeah, no, but we have a tip sheet. So TA kind of kicked in and created a tip sheet on how to do virtual interviews, actually. Yeah. And so with that being said, the tip sheet was basically, you know, making sure your equipment works first, be in an area of no distraction, have a proper lighting, and then make sure like your voice, your tone and pace is calming for the nervous candidate. And then when our interviews are pretty much back to back, so make sure you're allowing breaks as well. And so as far as a tool that we use for our virtual interviewing is Microsoft Teams. So luckily, we right before the virus, we were using business Skype. So we were right in the moment of transitioning to Microsoft Teams. So that way it was kind of an easy transition, I guess, as far as the tools. And then our IT department offered company-wide training on that tool as well.
Great.
And then another piece, I think kind of one-on-one coaching the hiring manager, really to be understanding, because we were all thrown into this all at once, unexpectedly. And so understand that some families may not have that daycare. And some people may not even have had an office set up at their home. So just truly being understanding and flexible, and that may mean that the work schedule may not look the same for everybody, I would have to say. And just, I think too, kind of the silver lining of this, the virtual meetings and interviews, is that you actually get to see the human side of the manager, because you kind of see them in their environment, because you might hear their children in the background or their dogs barking, and then they want to show off their children or their pets and things like that. So just seeing that human side and not the business side, I think is so important. Yeah. And then as far as like background checks, we've decided to be more lenient with that. Yeah. So let's say that we can't get the employment verification or education verification. We're willing to waive that and let the new hire start. And then if the candidate doesn't feel comfortable going to the medical site to do the drug screening, you know, we're willing to waive that as well. We just keep a list, and then later when things come down, we'll go back and revisit all that information. Yeah. And then now what's been a really big challenge, I think also is getting the equipment to the new hire on time. It's a work in progress is all I can say. A lot of times we are missing that date of having that equipment on day one. So still working on that. And yeah.
MJ, I think what I'm hearing are a couple little nuggets here. One is understanding at all levels, right? And that may mean in the interview process when it comes to if, you know, things that we typically would have probably disqualified people for.
Exactly, exactly.
Now if a child pops into the interview, maybe not so much. That doesn't disqualify.
Exactly.
And same thing for when you're thinking about structuring the day for a new hire, right? How do we build in these breaks, or maybe have more flexibility in the workday,
right,
to allow for some of these other kind of areas of accommodation? Am I tracking with that? Because that seems a really important theme.
Yeah, very much so.
And so, and then background checks, you know, I'm hearing flexibility and knowing that, you know, these things are delayed.
Exactly.
And people aren't getting it done right away.
Right.
And so, but we don't want to stop when you have, you know, 60 things to produce in a month that you normally do in a year.
Exactly.
So what about, talk a little bit more about the equipment and hardware side. So I know that that's a pain point for a lot of folks, is how do I maybe work with all my other onboarding stakeholders when it comes to setting up the employee in advance? What's some of your tactics there?
Yeah, so what we've done, so once HR support and IT are notified of a new hire through our ATS system, So the next step is that IT will now actually have a phone conversation with the hiring manager to find out what equipment is needed for that new employee.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll find out, do they plan on having that new hire to come and pick up the equipment on day one, or do they need to mail it? And so right now, pretty much it's strictly been mailing the equipment. So once that step is done, then things get shipped out and everything. So if I was to explain to you what a typical day of virtual onboarding looks like, the first step would be HR support would reach out to that new hire and kind of have them complete some paperwork up front. And then they would kind of set the agenda on what to expect on day one.
Mm-hmm.
So on day one, they would meet with HR support, complete the new hire paperwork, and go over the benefits. And then once that meeting is completed, then they would meet with the hiring manager. And so the hiring manager, this is all virtual. At that time, the hiring manager would just kind of welcome them, go over the expectations, show them about different resources to get access to for training, and then go over projects that they're going to be working on. And then later that week, they would do a virtual introduction to the team to get to know the team, and then probably they'll buddy that person up with someone as well. And so what we've done that's really different is our new associate orientation. Yep. So that process used to take like all day. That was an all-day meeting. So we've actually done it. What we've done now is put it on our learning management system, where it's a learning training for them, basically. So once they get through that training of the new, excuse me, of the new hire orientation, then a team member will reach out to that associate and then go over any questions or explain anything more in depth. So, and then provide any other resources for them as well. So that's been a big shift, is that new employee orientation, doing that virtual.
Got it. Yeah, and I apologize. I was playing around trying to get us bigger in the image here, but for the use of time, we're going to stick with what we got here. So, but I'm tracking there, and I think what you were saying around having to move your team quickly from a face-to-face all-day orientation. How have you structured that differently to accommodate virtual, and how quickly were you able to mobilize on that?
Yeah, so, actually, I was impressed. I feel like our company just took charge and was able to move pretty quickly. One advantage probably that we had, we are a global company, so we were somewhat accustomed to doing virtual meetings, so that was the upper advantage. And then we do have a special team dedicated to our learning management system, who were able to take the information from the new employee orientation and make it into a training program. So just really, like, there's where that collaboration comes in, Yeah. You just have to reach out and get together with the key stakeholders and just make things work. So
yeah, I hear you there. What about, on the side of, thinking about the fun ways you're engaging new hires? So I think we're all cognizant around isolation and really building connection virtually. What are you hearing teams are doing to build that connection?
Yeah, so I sense of humor. Sense of humor is always good to lighten up the tension. So, and for example, maybe sending out funny memes, like Friday Fun, and it's a memes, or it's a enlightenment of a musical video or something. Just kind of just breaking that ice of sense of humor. And then our VP of HR, he has what he calls Tuesday Talk. And that's been really helpful, I would have to say. And what that is, it's not an agenda. Basically, the whole human resource department is invited to that, including global. So it's probably consists of about 100 employees. So it's just really a source to get together, kind of let your hair down, talk about what's going on in your area, maybe something that's stressing you, or share what you're doing to contribute to the cause right now, or share who's your favorite basketball player, or recipes. It's just to loosen the tension, you know, and we just trying to do the best we can with any type of resource and communication. The key thing is keeping that open communication, you know.
Yeah. And having fun, it sounds like. I know a lot of folks are using their chat features or using other ways to engage. So having a little more fun with that does help.
Sure.
What about, you know, I think the one question a lot of managers are asking is, how do I monitor performance? How do I know the person's actually getting the work done when we're managing virtually? What's kind of your approach around that?
Sure. So being in leadership, I feel that's when your leadership skills need to kick in. You should be able to manage an employee, whether it's virtual or in place. And of course, it's going to be result-based, but the key thing is not to add stress upon that result base, because we're already stressed. So don't be pressurous of deadlines and things of that nature. But still just be understanding. But if you're that micromanager, I mean, you can make sure the light's on and showing that they're working. I don't suggest that, but I just say, just be caring and understanding is the key. And that open communication line, do constant check-ins and have those meetings, the one-on-one meetings, the staff meetings, the virtual group meetings. And that open communication, I just can't express how important that is.
And what I've been hearing too from clients kind of around the country is it's okay to treat employee needs differently. So when you're leading a team, or particularly as you're learning your new hire, you know, you've got a new hire, if that person's a more outgoing person, they may want a daily check-in. Right. Or they may want, you know, twice a day check-in.
Exactly.
For someone who's maybe more introverted or more analytical in nature, they may be very comfortable with the group setting activities.
Right.
And this is the time where building that customized approach from what communication do you need at this time is important. And what I'm hearing you say is, communicate no matter what.
Right.
That's
so important. Part of it. Yeah. We're all kind of in this together, and just so important to support each other. So
we're getting some questions coming in as we're talking through, and I know we could talk for hours about this issue, but I want to make sure we tackle folks' questions. One question I saw was about whether or not your offer letter is still contingent on the background check being done, even if you bring them in earlier.
It is, and we let the new hire know about that. And so what we're doing is keeping track with a spreadsheet of anyone that we had to start before the background was completed. And then we're definitely going to revisit getting that information once things calm down. But yes, definitely still contingent.
Sounds great. And then one of the other questions we had was about technology platforms. So you mentioned Teams. What other tools are you using? And then I think the question was more broad about what should we be thinking about for other tools? So
Sure. That's a great question. So we are really focusing on using Microsoft Teams now as our platform, and for instant messaging and also for document sharing as well. So our company actually just shifted to Microsoft Teams, but there is so much more out there as well. It just depends on the size of your company and the budget, things that you have. So Kristen, I think you had some good ideas like Google and
I mean, the tech side, you know, I know you're using, I think, Yammer as well, right?
Yeah, so that's been a great platform for us. Yammer is like a social media outlet for us that's just internal. And we've been using that source basically for employees to ask questions. And this has been even before the virus, but to ask questions about things, to share what's going on in the business. But as of late, our CEO has been using this platform for communication. She'll post a video out there to let us know where we're at as a company and how are we doing and how to take care of ourselves and stay healthy. And then also we created what we call a COVID-19 channel. And so that's still within our intranet. And it's just a link really to provide a wealth of resource. So within that, you can find out information from the CDC. There's links there. You can find tips on how to stay healthy, how to set up your office to work remotely, what's going on, you know, with this virus and things of that nature. And that's just been really a good resource for us, I would have to say.
That's great. That's great. And then I know I'm going to ask a couple quick ones. One is somebody had asked about how do you go about searching for a virtual job right now? So if you're on the other side and you're a candidate, I think, you know, one of the questions was, you know, and what is the criteria that you should look for when thinking about a future employer as far as their adaptability or you know, accommodations towards virtual work environments. So I don't know if you have any tips for applicants on what to look for from an employer perspective on the right place to work when it comes to virtual employment.
You know, well, first, I think they need to do their research of a company that is of interest to them. And LinkedIn is a powerful tool, I would have to say. So follow the profile of the company, find out if that's a company that's really, first of all, of interest to you. And then if possible, you know, look up some profiles that currently work for the company, reach out to them, you know, let them know you have interest in working for this company and how are you supporting your staff with the COVID-19. Yeah. And, you know, most of the time they're more than happy to share information if you reach out to them.
Yeah.
So.
And to add to that, I think asking your future employer in the interview process, what is your onboarding process? And getting clarity on what support they offer. So where you've highlighted TerumoBCT does a great job in kind of offering a lot of either communication channels, resourcing. It's all great to know and see employer candidates actually screening for that as well.
Sure, very much so, yeah.
The final question I want to ask you is, you know, as we're kind of digesting and we're living in this space, you know, of the, you know, this COVID-19 world, what's your hope for our COVID-19 recovery? What do we hope we as a humanity come out of this with?
Wow, great question. You know, this has been such a stressful time and such a new thing for everybody. I would have to say restoration. And what I mean by that, restoring jobs, and still emotional for me, but restoration of jobs, people's jobs, because people have lost a lot. And restoration of the economy, and for us to adjust to this new normal, I guess. So,
MJ, I feel you, and I hear that pain. I think we're all struggling between where do we keep gratitude and hope, and where do we manage the suffering universally, and in some ways in our own lives or the lives of our family members. So
yes,
I respect that and really appreciate your perspective on that. I do hope that we come out of here with a sense of restoration. I want to be mindful of everyone's time today. We are going to have a takeaway for everybody that's a top 10 list of things that you can do to help empower your onboarding for virtually. And a lot of that's kind of curated from this discussion today. So you'll be getting that in your email inbox. We're going to be continuing the virtual onboarding discussion in another session with a dear friend of ours at Rexel. His name's Tunde Kolarninwa. And so stay tuned April 30th for that. And we're just going to keep on having these conversations around how do we all empower each other and get through this together. So thank you so much, MJ. Thank you to everybody who joined.
Yes, thank you.
Have a wonderful Thursday and be well.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Bye.
Thank you.